So now as we are coming to the section where we are moment to moment, when we analyze things from moment to moment, you're most welcome. There are few notebooks or there is paper as well if you want to note down certain things. And if you have questions also, I invite you to just write it down, and we will definitely be discussing questions. At that time you can ask me anything and I will go refer back to the slides even and answer your questions, okay? First let's go through the discussion and then discuss as questions, but whatever notes you want to make, you're most welcome to do so. Yes, so sicknesses are, one phase of sicknesses is one thing, but the other phase of this is a complete different thing that we always, seem to forget about, or we put aside, or we don't know about it. So because of that, we don't get a chance to deal with it. And I want you to take you through this, how the karmic imbalances affect different disease that we already have. But because of the karmic imbalances that we have, why does this karmic imbalance come in the first place? This is another topic that we will get into today. So samsara sicknesses causes, samsara imbalances causes samsaric sicknesses. For an example, if we have given a real bad heartache for somebody in another lifetime or even in this lifetime, it has a negative effect of formulating in one of our lives. And it might not be this lifetime, but even in a different lifetime, it comes into place. It's a negative energy which brings us from one path to another. In the same manner, we talk about accidents, different kind of accidents, good and bad. Both this type of accidents have another reaction, an interlinking connection with the samsaric accidents. And yes.
What does the word samsara actually mean?
Samsara means life after life. This chain of life, which we will talk about in a little while as well. I will show you how this samsara, or sam, actually it's, even though it's written as sam, it's pronounced as san, samsara, sansaric accidents. Suddenly, you trap somebody in a different life and make that person go through certain things. And in another lifetime or in the same lifetime, you yourself get trapped in different sorts of accidents and different karmic situations. And commitments is another major part which has a lot of links to karma and balances and imbalances of karma. Certain commitments we feel at the time we can't let go of, or we can't pass through this commitment. We need to do certain things for certain places or individuals or countries even. So samsaric commitments are another thing which bounds us to suffering. Samsara, distress, anxiety, impatience. Again, bad karma being formulated throughout and throughout and throughout will give you distress, anxiety and impatience. Samsara tiredness, it's not only this tiredness that we have from life here and now. Sometimes this tiredness has followed us in different parts of life, and now it takes its toll basically.
So it's tiredness from several lives?
Yes, from several lifetimes also. So for an example, you have been a serial killer. Okay, you collect a lot of bad karma, and then you suddenly get out of that and suddenly start doing good things, but that bad negative energy which you have created follows you until it subsided. So tiredness could also result in so many different things. It's because of tiredness people get anxious. and distress. And this anxiousness and distressedness causes anger. And anger, led in different ways, causes jealousy and hate. And hate could lead again into so many different angles. So this has a interlinking chain added towards it. So feelings and sansaric feelings. Certain people, places, countries, situations that you get into in life or passes you by has a complete different impression in your mind. It's like you've been through this place, you've done these things. It's like deja vu almost. You know the meaning of deja vu? It's like you go to a place or you meet somebody and you feel that you've been in this same situation talking or in this place in the same way. It's reflecting, memories coming back from different maybe lifetimes or different things that you have done. So feelings and sansaric feelings.
Doesn't deja vu mean I've seen it before?
Yeah, I've seen it before, I've felt it before, I've known before kind of feeling. Feelings that you have, which is, now the first feelings is connected to feelings that we have at the moment. And the sansaric feelings is connected to really deja vu, from things from past lives, things accumulated from different incidents. And you have karmic imbalances here and now, which you create for yourself, here and now, good and bad. And you get sansara karmic imbalances, like the serial killer story that I was talking to you about, which, we might never think that we could even go into such extremes, but maybe we have. So karmic imbalances, it's not only negative, it has positive effects as well. So very, very positive things that we have done in past lives maybe, or in this life, suddenly resolves itself. Suddenly we find, the food is being kept on the table when we do meditation and come. When there was nobody to take care of it, and suddenly we have some very good individuals helping us. That may be because of a merit that we have done some time ago, some time back, suddenly formulating itself into something good.
In this life? Or
in this life.
In this life.
Yeah, we just experienced that, I think. Yeah, and suddenly, because it was not supposed to be like that, and Peggy was actually not supposed to even be here. But suddenly, things come about. Maybe it's a good deed that we have all done in this life, or maybe connected to a different life, which gives the benefit here and now. Okay, so that's called sansara karmic imbalances, good or bad way. It can be in a neutral way. It forms into a neutral form. So in this, now we spoke about the suffering of all living beings, and the first phase of suffering that we think that this is suffering, but actually suffering is connected to so many other avenues, and this is what we need to really understand, because suffering is not what we are concentrating in. What we are actually concentrating in is this word, happiness. What do you want in life? What do you want in life? At large, if you say it in 3 words.
Quality of life.
Quality of life, okay. In the sense?
Just peace
and... peace.
Peace.
Okay, so that's one word. So what do you really want in life?
I want to contribute to a better life for everybody.
Everybody, because that makes you?
Satisfied.
Satisfied. Satisfaction. Okay. So, what do you want in life?
I think love, but in different ways. So for yourself, and for the people directly around you, and for
the entire world
Yeah.
and universe. Why?
Because it makes me happy.
Exactly. So, what would you like?
Connectedness.
Connectiveness. Okay. What would that make you feel?
Connectedness? Or
Yeah, like it
connectedness?
feels me connected. It feels me kind of. It gives me belonging, a sense
Belonging. A sense of belonging.
of. Yeah,
Okay. And that would make you feel
relaxed.
relaxed. Okay. Peggy?
Dana, service.
Hmm?
Service. As
Service?
in interacting with others.
Yeah,
And it's,
interaction with others,
Mm.
connectiveness, interaction with others, and that would make you feel
Yes, I'm happy.
happy and relaxed, calm. So, whichever form you see, all our answers, whichever form we take, it comes to a basic central point, which is linked with happiness and calmness, and maybe tranquility, even relaxed, all of those things. So, if we put everything what we really want out of life, and the base point of it would connect to always calmness and happiness. Because why we need to do something, or we need to learn something, or to give something, is to feel this. And this happiness.
But isn't this a very egocentric way of viewing it? Because sometimes I have the feeling I don't necessarily have to do things just for my own sake, but also for the sake of others.
Yes.
So I don't do it in the first place that I feel happy.
Yeah.
But that others feel happy.
Others feel happy, and when the others are feeling happy, I also feel relaxed and happy.
Yeah, but do I do it for the sake of my happiness or for the sake of the happiness of others? Isn't there a difference?
There is a major difference. There is a major difference, and that's what we are all achieving for. To give out and never expect anything back. Not even happiness. Not even happiness. That's what we are getting at. But in order to do that, 90% of the time in our daily lives, we would want something back as well. That's the reality of it. For the moment, we would want 10% to be given out completely, but we would want something in return as well. So what we are really trying to do here is shift the two. If we can let go of everything and be content and be happy completely, then we would have very much less suffering. But how do we do that? That's the question. How do we get to that point? Because it's very good and nice to say it, but when it comes to daily life, then we are in a question. How do we do that? How do we give completely without expecting anything? That's a hard one. If you honestly look at yourself, right from today, this morning, 1 year back, 10 years back, what have we been doing? Have we only been giving without expecting back? Or have we given without expecting back to an extent, but more to the extent of giving and wanting something, receiving something?
It's probably we always give wanting something back.
Wanting something back,
Yeah.
connectivity back, belonging back,
Appreciation.
Hmm? Appreciation back, love back, everything. This is.
Yeah, but the thing that when you ask what do I want from life, then I say like I want to contribute to a better world, and then it's not necessarily that I feel good. I mean, I wouldn't do it if I feel always bad about it, but I don't do it for the sake of feeling good. I do it for the sake of contributing to a better world.
Yeah, contributing to a better world, but in the other sense, you expect that you have done something for this purpose as well.
Yes.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. So in that sense, if we take it as I was able to do something for the world and make it a better place, and I have this feeling inside me that I have done something for this world as well. This feeling plays a major part in different directions. Let me go through the presentation, then we'll take these questions, because then you will understand deeper versions of how the mind could be extremely diverse in different things. We think that we are doing this for a very, very good reason, but in another way, we are expecting certain things back to ourselves. If we can do it completely, honestly, and without absolutely anything in return, absolutely, this is the perfect situation. This is what we are aiming for.
Unconditional giving.
Unconditional giving. Actually, it's unconditional love.
Yeah.
It's complete and unconditional love. It's complete, unconditional love, nothing in return. Nothing, absolutely nothing. No appreciation, nothing. No money, no appreciation. Money doesn't even come to the part. But that is a very high state. Now, if we don't have, I'm asking general in life, 90% of the time, what do we deal with? Can we be that 90% of the time? If somebody is that 90% of the time, excellent. It's very good. It's what we should achieve to be, and it's very good if you can be that. But if it's not, there are strings attached to conditions in our mind that we don't see. We don't see the conditions that we have put in our mind. I give so much actually in order to get so much. It's always been that way. And that's what we are trying to analyze here. Okay? So let's go to...
So if I ask you the question, what do you want from life? What do you say?
Well, to be giving as much as I possibly could until the time that I could.
To accept both. To accept the reality that you also have needs and desires, and
to accept the ability, to accept the fact that I am only human,
yeah.
that I can only give physically, I can only give out so much, but whether a person appreciates it or not, I give out freely until the point that I can give out, until the moment that I die, basically.
And you make it to have what feeling? And you make it to have what feeling? But what feeling do you derive from it?
For me, I don't have any feeling. I don't expect anything in return. I don't expect anything in return. Absolutely none in return. You understand?
So does it mean you avoid the feeling? Or is it like, I mean, you're giving, like now, you're giving us this talk and these insights, and what do you feel when you do it?
I feel that whatever I need to do for the moment, I'm doing. Whether you take it in that content or not, I'm still happy, both ways. For an example, I say this is our 4th day, okay? And I've been tirelessly giving Dhamma talks and doing meditations and whatever, answering questions, everything. And on the end of the 4th day, if somebody tells me, what have you been doing all this time? And this is, crazy. I can't expect this kind of Dhamma or something, and shouts at me and goes, so be it. Right? And if somebody else praises this Dhamma talk and says, oh wow, excellent, good, I really want to, if you ever come to Berlin again, I would really like to say, okay, that also sadhu. Both of these feelings, you accept it in the same manner. Because that's when you learn to give unconditionally without expecting anything back. Because if I have got hurt to one comment, and when I'm getting praise, if I'm getting, this is desire, And this is hate, basically. That is because I am expecting something out all the time. So if you have zero expectation, you just give, that's it, until the time that you can give.
But in that sense, I guess it implies a certain level of self-love in a way that you're not trying to fill a hole inside yourself.
Yes. Because when you come to a certain point, why do you always try to fill a hole? Because you imagine this hole can be filled in
By somebody else. Right?
for somebody else or something that you do. But what if you've discovered, you go through the meditations technique, whatever, you learn Dhamma, you have your realizations, and you come to this realization of the final realization of realizing that to begin with, this hole or this thing that cannot be filled,
It's all in yourself.
it's all in yourself. And then you have a higher realization on top of that. You realize there was no hole to begin with. Right? You arrive at that realization. Then when you arrive at that realization, everything is just an action and a reaction. So just a process. So. And that's how you have complete happiness within yourself. Whether it's good comments or bad comments or whatever comments you receive, your mind status remains in one point. Mind status does not shift. It just remains in one point. That is Nibbana.
Nibbana?
Nibbana. That is stillness.
Stillness. Okay.
That is stillness. When it doesn't shift, not negative, not positive. When it stays in zero, that is called stillness. That's what we are trying to achieve. It's actually, you can define it as happiness, but it's actually more than happiness. It's like tranquility. It's like complete calmness.
So I'm just thinking, when you ask me what I want from life, and I'm saying I want to contribute to a better world, then that's my purpose. I don't expect the feeling of being happy, because I'm there to fulfill this purpose. That's like why I was asking. It's like, I mean, maybe I'm not there to be completely free of any desire and any feeling, of course. And I'm still happy if I achieve it, but I'm seeking for this purpose, whatever happens.
But can I ask, is it not that you, I don't know, want to have a certain self-image, how you see yourself, what's your identity, or how you want others to see you? I mean, it's hard to imagine that you're entirely free of these feelings, and that there's not some egoistic motivation in it, that it's entirely free of any egoistic motivation.
I mean, if I want to contribute to a better world,
Yeah.
in a sense, it's a contribute to a better society.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's no society that I can interact with, then I can't fulfill my purpose. If I'm acting on a society, on people. So
That is the problem. That is exactly the problem. What if this society rejects the idea? That's what I'm talking about. You see, 4 days of Dhamma talk, tirelessly, and then suddenly one society rejects and one society accepts. In your mind, if you can't accept the rejection and still be okay with that, accept the positiveness and still be okay with that, then you're neutral. Whether they accept it or not, you're neutral. That's what we are trying to achieve. But when I asked this question of what do you really want in life, what I wanted to show is that we are actually looking for happiness, whichever form or way that is, we are actually looking for happiness. Now, when you rightfully say, there has to be a society for me to do something good, then you're expecting something. And this society, if they acknowledge the fact that this is the right thing, this is very good, you feel happy about it. And if they reject it, you would want to do more. And just do and just leave it at that. That's true. But there's an inner feeling inside you, inside all of us, basically, until we get to that point where we realize that there was no hole in the first place to be filled with.
So in a certain way, we're all looking for the same thing.
We are all looking for the same thing in different angles.
And
That's my point.
And there are different paths.
Approaches to it, different approaches that one might have. But the goal, the center point is always happiness. That's what we are looking for. Tranquility and happiness within ourselves. Not with the entire world, but within ourselves. We give and give and give. If we are calm and relaxed just by giving, that's what we really wanted. But to achieve that is very difficult. Practically, to achieve that 24/7 is very difficult. That's my point. It's all well and good to say it, but to achieve that is very difficult. So we are trying to see how to achieve that. How are we going to get to that point? For an example, you want to do service and you're happy to give whatever. And we're trying to find a way how to do that. I'm not trying to object it. I'm trying to say, okay, how to do that and feel content completely 24/7. For the moment, you could do it maybe 60% of the time, and 40% of the time you expect certain things back. But how do we do that 100%? 100%. 365 days. Only giving. Not expecting absolutely anything. How do we do that? Physically, as long as you're capable of doing something, physically, when you're capable of doing something, you do everything that you can without expecting anything. How do you do that? 365 days. How do you do that?
Meditation.
Not only meditation. It's a state of mind. It's a state of mind of stillness. When you reach to that, you just give. That's it. Of course, if you're feeling physically tired, you will go and rest. Of course, you'll do that. But the other times, you don't expect anything back. You see, that's the point. So when you have no expectations, nothing can hurt you.
So giving and service is a state of mind?
Giving and service is a state of mind. Giving and service without expectation is a state of mind. Okay? Let me go.
At how many percentage are you?
Let us go through the percentage. And then I will answer that question. Okay?
Yeah.
You are asking me some very interesting questions. I would enjoy this very much.
But in general, I mean, it's part of it also to accept that maybe you will never reach that state, and it's also okay, to not be completely free of desires, wishes,
you
needs
can.
that you have.
No, you can. You can. That is the highest state of an arahat.
Yeah.
It is a higher state of an arahat too. This type of mind state is the highest state of an arahat. And I will take you through this. We're just beginning the presentation. That's why you're having so many questions.
There is a discussion after this.
There is a discussion after this. Okay. Right. So, happiness, we can look at happiness in two different angles. Let's take it as the worldly ways. You can define these in different words, But I have just used two words so that it's easier for a little bit easier for us to understand. The worldly way, the normal way, the worldly way that we would look at happiness or achieving happiness is nurturing happiness for some years and searching happiness to last a lifetime. Maybe in this lifetime I want this thing. Yes, that's true. That's the highest goal. But then, we define years, we define months, we define weeks. We say maybe these 6 months I want to concentrate on this. These 6 months I want to get my house built. These 6 months I want to do this. I want to do that. And we think, we get into this concept, this idea that when we do this, I will have happiness. Like we go through a very good education, which we need in the world. We go through a job and we want to get a better job. So we go to a better job and we get the better job. But are we satisfied there when we get the good job? 100%.
No, because we're always looking for something else then.
Yeah, maybe in that job, we're looking for a better position in the same company. And when we do have the better position in the same company, say for an example, we went through education and all that stuff. We got really, really high standards. After getting high standards, will we work for a lower company which is going to pay us very high money? Would you do that? For an example, you have been trained as in business management. Would you want to work with a very classy company as a business manager? Say you get paid 25,000 euros a month. Okay? So 25,000 euros in this high status company, which is going to give you the credits for being in business management. Or somebody comes and tells you, you can still do the business management in the garbage truck business. I'll pay you 30,000 a month. What are you going to choose?
It really depends, right?
Sir, sorry?
It really depends.
It really depends on what?
The purpose of the company, how much I like the team.
You
and the
get to
interaction
drive
that I
a
have.
garbage truck.
I have to drive a garbage truck.
Yeah.
To get 30,000 euro a
Yeah.
month for it.
Yeah.
Then let's do that. No, I would say like for me personally, it wouldn't change very much who I am and how I'm feeling. So I can seek whatever opportunity I have. But for me personally, it wouldn't change anything in my status of content and happiness. I wouldn't expect anything out of the choice, let's say. I mean, and then if I can learn in one job more
Yeah.
than in the other, or I want to have more money to nurture my family, for example.
Yes, exactly. Because the decision plays a major part in how we feel about things, what are we going to get from it, and all of these things. So, same situation if you take what I'm trying to analyze in this part, worldly ways of looking at things, we always concentrate on some benefit that we are going to get for actually speaking a very short time compared with samsara. Compared with samsara, it's a very short time. Okay? If you compare it with one lifetime, yes, maybe many years. But if you compare it with samsara, this is a very short time. So, my point is that we get education, we go through jobs, we want better positions, we want more income and more things in life in order to reach to something which we call happiness. But happiness is always defined with so many different things. And we have the idealistic happiness, but we end up doing different things in life. This is the problem. We idealistically think, okay, if I have this type of thing, I will be this. If I have this type of thing, I will be this. But then in the short run, we make different decisions completely in another form, which will end up of having pain and suffering in the end. Pain with relationships, suffering with relationships, suffering with jobs, suffering with lack of time, lack of self-confidence, anxiety, stressfulness, all of that. So we always have this high aim for being happy, but in the short term, we make different decisions all the time. Being attached to things mentally, desiring for things. And when we don't get what we desire, we are a little bit annoyed, we are a little bit more anxious, we are a little bit more tired, and that leads us to a little bit more anger, a little bit more jealousy, a little bit more hatredness developing within ourselves. You see? Do you agree with me, or any other comments? Actually, what we are looking at as temporary solutions all the time.
It's the idea, I will be happy when I have this.
Yeah.
And
then we go for that. And maybe we have that for a short time. And then when the situation starts changing, again we run for something else. Hoping and praying that this thing would make us happy. Then we start to get that. And we enjoy that. And then when that starts to fall down, we start running for something else.
It's like a chain.
Yeah, becomes a change. That's why this is known as the temporary solutions in life. We want the real thing, but we always end up going for the temporary solutions if you really look at it deeply. And the Aryan ways, now this is the worldly way, this is the Aryan way. After, Dhamma brings us to this. Happiness, tranquility for all time, the status of mind, the happiness and tranquility for all time, which is a permanent solution. What if permanently, this is what I was talking about, 365 days, what if we can have this happiness and tranquility all the time, completely? Would you want that, or would you want a temporary solution?
Permanent solution.
If we don't go for the permanent solution, why? Why don't we go for it? Most of the time we think that this doesn't even exist.
We don't even know about it.
We don't know about it. We don't know that it actually exists even. That's the problem. We think that it's so high that we could never reach up to it. So we settle. We always go and settle for the temporary solutions of what we can have for the moment, for a time period, for a few years in this life. We always settle for less, thinking that we will never achieve this. But if there was a way to achieve it, what would you choose? Temporary or permanently?
I'm already choosing the permanent one.
Exactly, that's very good. Actually, you are. In the first answer that you were giving, you're actually wanting that.
Yeah.
But there is a path to it, of course.
It's difficult. Yeah, I know about it.
Yeah. What about you?
Oh, okay. Permanent.
Permanent.
Yeah.
If there was a way, because we always choose a temporary, because we don't think that the permanent exists. but the permanent exists. Many people think that, you can't be this, so I will settle for this. That's the idea, that's the normal idea. That's why this is called the worldly way, and that's called the Aryan way. It is true Dhamma or a teaching or a universal guidance that you could achieve that. And usually this permanent solution exists in the world only for a time period. The solution exists in the universe, of course, but it's described only for a time period, and then it gets closed. And then it reappears for a time period, and then it gets closed. Agree with me? This is what actually a Samma Sambuddha comes to the world to teach. There is a permanent solution for this. Because otherwise we always think about these temporary solutions. We're running around the same chain all the time. And then one such person comes and says, no, there's a way to break the chain. But only thing is that teachings only exists in the world for a time period, and then it gets melted down, disappears. Nobody knows about it. Everybody's searching for it without even knowing about it, and you don't know how to get to that point. Okay?
Does this opportunity ever present itself again, or is it gone
Yes,
forever?
it presents itself every millions of years after. Basically, now in this time period, it's there because we are in the Gautama Buddha Sasana. It's there. So you could be in China, Japan, or India, or Asia, or Berlin, or in Russia, or wherever. If you have the merit for it, you will hear it. In some form or the other, it may be a Buddhist monk preaching to it, or it might be a lay person, but a person will always talk about it. It's because it's open. It's the time period which is open. And after this 5,000 years, it's going to disappear. And then millions of years will pass until the next Samma Sambuddha comes, and he says, wait a minute, we are all going looking for the temporary solution. Actually, there is a permanent solution, and this is the way to do it. Okay. So it gets closed for a time period, and it opens for a time period. So let's see what this is all about. 3 kinds of suffering. Okay, the first is called dukkha, dukkha. This is the Pali word for it. Dukkha means suffering. And again, it's dukkha. Why is there 2 dukkhas? It's not a error or a mistake. This is been written like this. That is because the first kind of dukkha or suffering is what everybody thinks of, having sicknesses, having this, having that, is a suffering. But actually, there is a karmic connection always applied to things. And this karmic connection has a greater imbalancing purpose in life, or a balancing purpose in life. We always think of the first suffering. We ignore the second suffering. But if we can find a solution for the second suffering, then the first suffering disappears. Okay? We'll get into that later. Not having what one desires. I desire in my job to get a better position. So, as long as I have this desire, which is not fulfilled or fulfilled temporarily, I move on with this dukkha, dukkha. Suffering in one form, but there's a greater suffering beneath because of one's desire. Why is that? Why does this first dukkha come up in the first place? Is because of the second dukkha called viparinama dukkha, change and impermanence. We don't want to recognize change in our life. That is the basic problem we have suffering. Why is that? Because we think when we get the great and good opportunity and the great job that we so deserve to have, we think that it's going to last exactly the way we desired.
And forever.
Forever, or for however much we want it for. So what happens in the middle of this? Yes, we do get paid very good. And yes, we do have all of the things that we agreed upon in the contract. But after 3 months, we discover that it really gives me very, very less time. It actually says in the contract I work from 8 to 5. But in order for my work to be, 100% done, I have to work another 5 hours. So I end up taking work home, or I work in the office, and then I have less time with my family. So yes, it does fulfill in one way. It does give me enough money to go about, and it does have so many other things. I can learn from it, I can enjoy it and whatever, but it has another hidden negativeness attached to it. So the more I discover this, now my desire towards the job, yes, it's split in two, because one time it's very desirable and it lasts that way for some time. But then suddenly this viparinama dukkha, change, starts coming in. I don't want to face the change and I don't want to accept the change. Then that gives me an unsettled feeling inside. That gives me actually suffering, basically. Okay?
So there are two kinds of suffering. There's the suffering of life, that the idea that everything changes.
Yeah.
And also that our desires change.
Yes, yes. Our desires keep changing. Because of that, another suffering is being created. For an example, the iPhone, remember? The one we took last time, I think? The phone. Now there is this phone, which is the iPhone. Say, all of us have this desire to have a very good and, phone, which has a lot of connectivity, whatever, features and everything. So we have enough money to get it. So we go and get the latest one, which is called the iPhone, let's say 8. And then after 3 months, they develop iPhone X. And they offer it for a lesser price than this because of a promotion. Then what happens?
Then there's suffering.
Then there is this feeling, oh, then I want to go for that. I had this, but I would like to have this as well. So one desire builds on another. One desire builds on another. One desire builds on another. As soon as one thing gets shifted, one thing's change, then we look for other solutions because we have this desire which is within us, basically. So the change, even in relationships, it's a very good point or a thing to take. In relationships, what happens? We think of this person as this. Why is that? Is it because we are only looking at the person in this way? Or is it because of a hidden list in our mind?
Set of projections.
Exactly. Why wouldn't Sarah be good enough as Rose? I hope there's no Sarahs here.
What do you mean Sarah is a rose?
For an example, there's a lady called Sarah.
No?
She also has good qualities. But we necessarily wouldn't want to make this person our life partner. I would want Rose to be my life partner. Why is that? Comparatively, both of them are very good looking and very nice people, very generous, very loving and kind, everything. But I would still choose Rose and not Sarah. Why would I do that? Outside qualities seems the same, but inside my mind, I have another list in me. My life partner has to be this, my life partner has to be this, my life partner has to be this. There's a hidden list in my mind. And the person who matches this list outside, when I get to know her, is a most closest to my feelings, usually. Do you get my point?
It's looking for someone who fits a certain profile or something.
Exactly. Who creates the profile in the first place?
We do.
Aha! That's the catch. The profile in my mind needs to match this person. And I talk to her, go out with her, get to know her, maybe live with her for some time, in order to find out whether this list is matching and whether I can match her list as well. So, as long as these two lists are matching to a great extent, they get along very well. And what happens when this list doesn't start to match?
There's potential for conflict.
Exactly. You understand? That is because of the viparinama dukkha. That's what hits in.
But it's also, I feel sometimes more like it's basically means that we don't have to change, that we can live entirely egoistically and do whatever we want, because we don't have to actually be in contact with somebody who has different opinions. If you have somebody who shares all the same opinions, it basically means you don't have to discuss, find a compromise, or like get to know someone and see it and learn a different point of view or a different angle of looking at things, because you just can't continue as you are.
Yeah, that's true to an extent. But then what happens is, then when we go through life and suddenly, why that happens is actually both the parties change. The lady also changes and the guy also changes, because we also always grow, evaluate certain things in different ways. So certain things that we held very dear at one point in our life may change for us at a different time. And then when we have within ourselves, when we change, the other person also changes within themselves. There could be either conflict or there could be actually coming together as well, two different ways. But usually what happens is, this viparinama dukkha, we don't want to experience life changes, what life throws at us, karmically even. When this change comes, many of us can't deal with the change. And when we can't deal with the change, that gives us suffering. When we are not ready to accept what we should be expecting, really. When we don't want to accept certain things and change accordingly, that creates an unpleasant feeling. And because our desires are subjected to changes, because the desires are subject to changes, we have an unpleasant feeling in us, because we don't want to accept the change of impermanence. That is one suffering that we have. And the other suffering is created by sankhara dukkha, which means impermanent state of desires appear in all life forms and all 31 realms. This sankhara, what this means is that attachments that we have in life, whether it's planet Earth, or whether it's a different Deva world or Brahma world or wherever in the universe, this same system of dukkha dukkha, viparinama dukkha, sankhara dukkha prevails. So they also have the same kind of suffering of getting attached to something, desiring that attachment, and when change starts happening, then you lose confidence in the whole process. So this three dukkhas, dukkha dukkha, viparinama dukkha, sankhara dukkha, exist in all life forms. And we need a permanent solution for this.
Can I just write that down?
Yeah.
Before you take that away?
It's like in one lifetime, if I was not able to do this, maybe in the next lifetime I will be able to do it. And we still keep hoping, life after life for the same thing.
Do we take our desires and our expectations and our
Longingness
and our longingness and
our fears
and our short-term goals from one life to another?
from one life to the other life?
Wow.
Even what do we take with us? We take wanting to be loved. Wanting to be loved. This life was just not enough with this person, and I long for love in another lifetime. I long to be appreciated, not only in this lifetime, but this appreciation, if I haven't felt really appreciated, sometimes I will long for it even in the afterlife. If I have felt distressed or disturbed or fear from some real unpleasant situation, that fear might carry me onwards into another life. Some of us have this fear of, water getting on top of the head. Have you known of a person like that? I have this for a very long time.
You had that?
Yeah, I had this. I'm very scared when the water comes above my head.
So like a wave.
Yeah, like a wave. So, and something really frightens me with that. So of course, I have never been able to swim because of this problem.
Is it a fear of drowning?
Yeah, it's a fear of drowning.
Okay.
Actually, that is because maybe in a past life I've had this terrible experience of drowning, and it carries forward even to this life. Even when I asked my mother about it, she said from a very, very young age, I used to be extremely scared of this. Extreme fear of water. I love water. I like to look at water, go near the beach, everything. But being inside and trying to swim is a complete different story. Some fears, we don't even know how it manifests inside us. That's because it has this interlined connection. So, dukkha dukkha, viparinama dukkha, and sankhara dukkha.
Interconnected, what do you say, interconnected?
Interconnection with karma.
Okay, and also between lives?
Between lives.
Okay.
So we keep, in other words, we keep hoping for better situations. That's what this sankhara dukkha is all about. Life after life, we keep hoping for things, for better things to happen to us. Forgetting the impermanence of life. So with all the things that we do in our entire lifetime, actually speaking, it comes down to only 6 things. And these 6 things are because of... The internal factors and the external factors, eye and eyesight, ear and sound, tongue and taste, nose and smell, body and touch, mind and thoughts. So these 6 things are the ones that is connecting us to everything else that we do. A seventh thing, which is a part of this, can you think of? Anything else? Which does not connect to this? Think about it. Everything that we do, isn't it connected to this?
Mind?
Mind is there. Anything else? Nothing, right? Because everything is connected to this. So what do we need to analyze? To analyze our desires, the hate, and the delusion. What do we need to analyze?
Our senses.
Exactly, our senses. And how everything gets built up. But if we are looking at true happiness, this is what we will have to analyze and how this is coming forward. So we have desire, hate, and delusion, cause and effect of it. When we have the cause and effect, this is created in the mind to feed the mind. And then we have something very interesting called consciousness. Because everything around us, the world within you is created through this consciousness. Now we're trying to find the absolute happiness. Remember our goal, okay? But in order to do that, we would have to first see how we get messed up, basically. So how we get messed up is because of this desire, hate, and delusion in 3 words. And that is because there is a cause and effect to every single action. And with this cause and effect, actually what we are doing is whatever is created in the mind is to feed the mind. And we do that through the consciousness. Can we do anything without being conscious?
Meditating.
That also is consciousness. That is the highest consciousness. Yeah? Be aware. When I say be aware of your